MCC Scuffed, a version of MCC which, like it implies, is very scuffed, and there are a lot of differing factors that they try to drill to show that it is very scuffed. As for the fact that for the teams, they made drawings out of the players. When they revealed the map, it was all in a shutter block image, so this is going to be some interesting predicting. This video we're going to be talking about how we think the event will play out. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first I think I'm going to look at the teams, see who's going to do well, and once again, Fire Breath Man, it looks like Fire Breath Man is nerfed with 3 simmers, but then you gotta realize the fact that Cryptic Zeus, you've probably heard that he's been doing a lot better lately, has possible top 10 performance, and then also he's been training Vixella, so hopefully we could get a top stellar performance from her. Dr. Gluon may weigh him down a bit, but I think this team in a normal event would have a chance of doing incredibly well. We got this Lime Llama's incredible chemistry there, but not much else. I don't think they have much of a chance to win it all, especially based on the game order. And this team, not particularly strong. And the game order is very important at this, because the game order shows 3.5. Well, 3 out of the 9 games is Build Mart. One of them has a Build Mart title, but a Survival Games logo. I don't know what that'll be. And all of them are on the Build Mart map. So, we don't know what this entails, but I think there's only going to be 3 actual Build Mart games. And, crazy enough, I have a theory for what these will be. As here it states, in big sales, there's a side in the MCC video. There is a sidebar when they are showcasing Build Mart that is reverted back to the one before MCC 29 or before Season 3. Oh yeah, also it says here that the map is changed back to the Season 1 map in the video. So I think there's going to be a Season 1 Build Mart, a Season 2 Build Mart, and a Season 3 Build Mart. Different games, kind of. You'll still be building builds, but I think it'll be interesting how they change Build Mart for this season. So that has a lot to do with who I think is going to win out of these teams. Let's look at the rest of these games here first. So, on this, we see Build Mart with survival games, of course. Then we have survival games, Hole in the Wall, Sands of Time, to get to the other side, and Battle Box. All of these are in the Build Mart map. So, for this, I think it's usually there are a lot of movement games where movement players especially excel. But this event, there's no movement players and there's no movement games besides to get to the other side. So that one will be interesting. It'll change the scoreboard up, I think, to get to the other side will. But besides that game, it's mostly around the same team-oriented stuff, which certain teams are much stronger than others in. And I guess there's also survival games and Battle Box, but they're all, of course, team-oriented. You gotta stay with your team, and that's the only way to survive. So, looking at the teams here, I did say Lime will have incredible team chemistry. You might think that's really good for this event, which it would be, but the games that they need to have team chemistry in aren't in their favor, as I do not see them doing well in Build Mart, and you need a lot of experience to be able to provide good comms in Sands of Time, which these players do not have much experience. I'd say Bad and Punk will provide the best comms, but I don't know. That team does not seem like it's doing it for me. This team could be a wild card because Velvet has the potential to do well, but most of the time, and I see in this event, him not doing too well. But if he has a pop-off performance, then this team could definitely make it far. But what I see now is two weighting down players, and Tubbo, maybe he could have another pop-off event where he gets top 10, but I don't really see this team going far. Purple Pandas, it looks like with the 3 Simmers, it looks like an incredibly underperforming team, but the only really player that I see being worse than these two players is Dr. Gluon. Dr. Gluon's probably on par with Connor Reed's Pants. I think Purple would be Aqua. I don't think Purple is going to get last. But then we have, towards the bottom of this list, we have a lot more teams that will do better, we'll say. Because I don't think team game works for this team very well. Their comms are just not up to it. Fire Breath Man, I mean, he's obviously insane, but he's not as good as at the team games as he is in the individual games. So, yeah, that's for that team. This team is strong. I like the chances of this team. Yellow Yaks, Amesy, Filza, Blushy. So, this team, I mean, it doesn't look too great, but Blushy recently been doing really well. Amesy not as good, but I can see her doing okay in Build Mart. I don't really know about Amesy, but the rest of the team really well geared. I think Sands of Time, they might struggle a little bit in, though, as I don't really see any strong Sands of Time players in here. I think Filza would be pretty good, but besides that, there's not much else. We're skipping Rocket Spleef Rush, I believe, so I don't really think this team is going to win it all, but I think they could do well, as they could gain some points in Build Mart. Then we have the Blue Bats, one of the 3 teams that are contestant for the victory. Maybe one of the 4 teams if we're including Orange, but they got Gemini Tay, F Whip, Smallish Beans, and S Major. All players can play Build Mart. All players, I believe, are currently on an SMP. I think F Whip actually has his own world. I don't know, maybe he's on the SMP too, but they're like on the Empire's SMP, and the skills from that SMP will help a lot in this event, and I'll explain more about that later. Then the Pink Parrots, another incredibly strong team with Green, Build Mart legend, LD Shadow Lady. I can see her doing well in Build Mart. Shovel, she's good at Build Mart. And then JoJo, also a good team comms centered player. So that team I can see also doing incredibly well. And then we go on to the Green Geckos. This team, in a normal event, would be insane. This trio, Puns, Crinios, and Beckiamon, 3 players who all have top 10 potential. Puns almost gets it like every time. Crinios, and Beckiamon, I believe in their last events, got top 15. So I see this team doing really well if it was a regular event. But since it's not, I still think this team could do well because, I mean, the only games aren't Build Mart. There's also survival games to get to the other side and Battle Box, which this team will do incredibly well in. So it really depends on the game order there. If those games are toward the end, then this team will obviously have an incredible chance of winning. But if one of the other games, like Build Mart, is the last game, then this team could go downhill really quick. Okay, for the Red Rabbits. The Red Rabbits, this team I do not see as strong. Gianelli having, might be her best event last time, 25th, but most of the time she doesn't do as good. And in this event, I see her placing at least bottom 10 because there are not that many bad players per se, especially if Vixella gets that training. Then Sylvie has been doing better lately. Hannah hasn't played much. Tapple hasn't been doing as good lately as he was at the very start of the event. So I don't see this team winning it all, but maybe they could all have their pop off event, which all of them need. I mean, Gianelli just had her best event. I think it's possible that this team, just everyone does incredibly well. This team's the most likely to just go insane, and everyone does way better than they ever have. I see that in this team. But if that doesn't happen, then this team, I say, is bottom 5. Then, Cyan Coyotes. One of my top 3 picks. We got False Symmetry, CPK, Pearlescent Moon, and Pizza Hut. This team, of course, is amazing at team games. Pizza Hut, amazing with the comms. Pearlescent Moon, also on an SMP, which, I mean, she does building. She's good at Build Mart. This team is an incredible Build Mart team, along with Blue and Pink. And this team will do incredibly well. To get to the other side, I don't see very strong. I feel like the other games besides the team-oriented games are the ones this team will struggle in. But besides Hole in the Wall, of course, this team is a really good Hole in the Wall team. I think 3 of these players, actually, I don't know if CPK has, but False Symmetry and Pizza Hut have gotten first place performances in Hole in the Wall, so I see this team doing really well in that game, and that game is worth a lot of points, so we'll see how it plays out. Then, lastly, we have Orange Ocelots, which I personally think they're going to be around 4. We got In the Littlewood, Ranboo, Sneakstag, and Kara Corvus. No players specifically strong. Last MCC, I watched Ranboo's POV. Was fun to watch. He got 5th place individually, but he was helped by JoJo Solos, who got 1st. So this will be really a test if Ranboo can hold his own without an S tier player on his side. But I think this team is not good enough to carry Ranboo to his first in coins. They didn't win Dodgeball. So I see this team, actually, yeah, I don't see this team doing particularly well, maybe even below 4th, but because they're not incredibly versed. Kara Corvus isn't that good, and the Littlewood hasn't been doing the best, so it's really up to Ranboo and Sneakstag to decide if this event is going to go on their side. So, after introducing the teams, I'm going to make my predictions. But first, I'd like to mention a couple of things for this. So, for the Build Mart, my theory of that it's going to be Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, that has a lot to do with these teams because some of these teams aren't as experienced, and that helps a lot. So this event will really show how much you can adapt to different things coming at you, different features. Haven't had an incredibly different feature for quite a while, so people who've been playing for a while, who play mod packs and stuff like that, will be able to adapt to these changes and this Scuffed pretty quickly, and Also, I forgot to mention that they're adding food and full damage in to get to the other side, and battle box. So we'll see how that plays out, and see how the SMP players, especially Filza, will be able to manage their health by eating food and not and making sure they have more health going into a fight than the other person. So I think that specifically, without extra build Martin stuff, these team games, with especially if it just wasn't scuffed, this game order, normal games though, I think that Pink Parrots would take it away. But I think that the change that if it's season 1, season 2, season 3, and the other changes that'll happen to add to the scuff of the event, I think that Blue Bats have the biggest chance of adapting to it, because they're all in SMPs that have mods. They have F-Whip, who's been playing Minecraft for years, Smallish Beans, who's been playing Minecraft for years. All these players have been playing for a while. They're incredibly experienced, and I think this team will take the win, at least in coins. Then we have, I think that this puts Pink Parrots in third, and I think Cyan Coyotes would overtake them, because they have very experienced players. Let me just tell you that much. They only have one kind of weak player that has a very good chance to do well, who is, I think, the longest running player without a win. So it's well deserved, incredible team, incredible chance of victory. It wouldn't be canon, so I guess it wouldn't technically count, but I think Pearl needs this well-deserved win, and she has the team to do it, because I think this team has the experience to make it to Dodgeball, face blue, and win, because Pete, incredible with the bow, false symmetry, with her 1v3 clutch last MCC, I think this team would definitely beat this other team would definitely beat Blue Bats in Dodgeball, with not a particularly strong Dodgeball player, and they'd have Smallish Beans shoot, most likely, which he's decent, but not amazing. And definitely not as good as Pizza Hut. So I think should definitely have, here's the MCC Fantasy League, and I'm going to be submitting my team predictions. So I'm going to have Blue getting first in coins, Cyan getting second, Pink getting third, and then the winner of Dodgeball will be Cyan. So that is what I think, and I'll be right back with the rest of my responses. Okay, so this is what I ended up picking for my full top 10 teams. So, what do you think? Put it in the comments. And, well, yeah, this is who I thought would win. Cyan wins Dodgeball. I think Aqua gets 10th. Lime gets 9th. I really don't see Aqua. I kind of feel bad, but they don't have enough skill. They have 2 bad players, which will weigh them down heavily, especially in team games. So that's why I put these. Put your predictions in the comments, and, well, let's get on with it.